Hello. I'm going to talk a little bit more about playing up the neck. So this time I'm going to talk a little bit more, compare two different techniques, one with a capo and one without a capo. And the chords I'm going to play are, it's going to be E major, and then B, and A. So that's half of every Hank Williams song. That's basically the same as the D major to the A major to the G, but a whole step up. What happens a lot is a lot of country songs get written in A major instead of G major, or E major instead of D major, and maybe it's because the fiddle player likes to play in D major a lot, but I'm not sure. I just know when I'm jamming a lot at some hootenannies, every third song tends to go to E major. And if you're tuned to open G, that can be a bit of a challenge right away. So I'll start with the basic open chords as if I'm not retuning anything. The first thing I'm going to do is retune my 5th string though, and I'm using a peg, and I will peg it. At the 9th fret, I'm going to slip it there, so instead of a G, it's tuned to a B. I think that's a B, so yeah. And an E major is, it's basically your 1st string 2nd fret, 2nd string's left open, 3rd string 1st fret, and your 4th string at your 2nd fret. And then the B is easy, it's just a bar chord on the 4th. And the A is easy, it's a bar chord on your 2nd. Now that sounds real nice. I kind of like that a lot. Now, there's a slight problem with that though. I really want to go nuts with the dynamics. I want to do hammer-ons and pull-offs. And on the 3rd string, that's real easy. I just take my middle finger, I lift it off the 4th string, and I hammer on the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. And then I have a temptation to lift that middle finger off from the 4th and strike the open D. But that sounds a little off because that D is not really in the E major scale. It's okay though, you can fake it, and it gives it a little bit of a kind of a mountain modal sound, or a blues sound. See, the right thing to do would be to go down the half step. So the problem is when you're frailing, half of the fun of frailing and half of what makes frailing work is when you strike a string, then you want to play, you do the strum of all the chords, or sorry, all the strings. So you go strike, strum, thumb, right? And that's what we're used to doing when we frail. But as soon as you start lifting up your fingers to do some dynamics, and you're not in a scale that works with the open tuning, then you're limiting what you can do with frailing, and now you're basically doing quarter note runs, or picking out melody. Those bar chords are fine because you can play all the strings. And I don't mind it so much, especially in the E major. Like when I lift my pointer finger, that's the and it's on the 3rd string, 1st fret. It's not really in the scale of E major, but again, it has a nice diminished kind of bluesy sound. But it's not the true scale, and again, you have to be pretty selective about what you're doing there. Now, the thing you can also do is you can play up the neck a little bit. So if you take that D and you slide it up a whole step, that's an E major. And if I slide down, that takes you to the A major, and then I go to the 4th fret, that takes you to the B major, and then I plant the 2 fingers down here. So again, I'm just taking that D pattern and I'm sliding it up a whole step. If I kind of keep the bar underneath my D pattern, when I lift these fingers up, that gives me a little room for dynamics. But I can't really lift up otherwise I might accidentally hit a note that is in the G major, which, except for that 1st string, is not really in the E major scale. So that's where the capo is really helpful. And I know some people call that cheating, but it gives you a lot more freedom, I think. So now you're just playing the riffs that you're used to playing on the D major scale. When you lift the D pattern, which is your E major, up, you're playing your capoed chord, which is your A major. Now there's a couple disadvantages, and I see why some people don't like capoing. One disadvantage is, if I wanted to hit that deeper note, I really can't do it, and I can't change keys in the middle of a song. I'm kind of stuck. I can only move up the neck from the capo. I can't go back down. The other bad thing, and this is something that probably bothers me the most, is sometimes the capo presses too hard on the strings, and it'll warp the strings a little bit, giving it a bit of a sharp note. And frankly, when you're jamming on the front porch and you're, burning through 20 different songs, changing keys every song, you're not going to want to tune every song. So I'm not going to throw the tuner on and retune. I'm just going to go with it. And then, first song's in E major, next song's in D major. I quickly take the capo off and play the same pattern. And I quickly take this peg and move it. So quickly, Hank Williams song comes on next, and we're back to E major. Then we go to G, because got to do a gospel song. So I quickly tune my 5th string. So there's a huge advantage in my mind to using a capo, because as we're burning through songs and changing keys every song, we, want to very quickly find what works. The flip side of that, it is nice to not have to use the capo, because, if I can do an E major, and then we go to a G, I don't have to do any alternate tuning, I don't have to capo anything, it just works. And I have more freedom to move up and down. But again, there's a cost with each. The cost of playing no capo in an E major, you can't really easily get to those notes, because you want on the 4th string it's going to be, so it's half step, full step, full step. So half step, whole step, whole step. Those are different notes on the E scale. If I lift that finger up though and play an open, it's going to be from the nut. It's going to be a half step, whole step, and that brings us a little out of the scale. And again, you can make it work depending on how you accent the note, but pros and cons. Anyway, those are my thoughts to playing E major open versus E major with a capo. Of course, you have to always remember to tune that fifth string, otherwise it's going to really sound weird. And once again. So two different ways to play it, different flavors. I like to keep both techniques in my back pocket. So there you go.